Su presencia es necesitada en el acto cero de la ciudad. Si no ha llegado un quórum para las 10:30, tanto entre moción de por falta de quórum. Para estar en sesión tenemos presente en lugares de Juan Sumakowski y Silencio Les Padilla. Con los otros miembros, por favor, vengan al concilio para empezar nuestro programa. Is this Corina? Or Blanca? Juan Lafarga. Hi, how are you, Corina? Right, I already got the, we haven't started here the meeting at City Council, but the information, did you say it was going to be a full day? Yeah, I am. I just wanted to make sure. All right? All right, thanks. Okay, bye-bye. Buenos días a todos, bienvenidos al Concilio, bienvenidos a la Cámara del Concilio, bienvenidos a la Junta del Concilio de la Ciudad para ahora miércoles, febrero 12 del 2003. El Concilio se junta todos los martes y miércoles y viernes a las 10 de la mañana, más cerca de lo que puede ser un juego. Muchas gracias especialmente para el ejemplo público que están aquí en la audiencia por su paciencia. Cuando llegamos a un quórum esta mañana un poquito tarde, los concilios están abiertos para el público, los invito a que estén con nosotros, para esos que no pueden asistir, los concilios se pueden ser vistos en vivo, por estación de cable Canal 35, pueden ser vistos en vivo por la página del concilio o por el teléfono del concilio. Está llamándose lista. Hombre, miembros presente, está presente. Llegamos al cuarto de empezar con la que está en la agenda de hoy. Déjeme reconocer al concilio El Reyes por una presentación especial. Muchas gracias, presidente. Buenos días. Miembros del concilio, tengo una presentación pequeña. Colegas, muchos de ustedes saben, debe ser usted hemos tenido la comunidad de Nicaragua de la ciudad de Los Ángeles. Con muchas comunidades tenemos muchas asociaciones. Los Ángeles tienen muchos soportes, mecanismos que han hecho esa transición junto a ese soporte, mecanismo y en la metrópolis. Por la comunidad de Nicaragua, es la Casa Nicaragua. Casa Nicaragua fue creada en 1979 y entonces se reconoce como una institución para promover la cultura nicaragüense y celebrando la independencia de las festividades también de la selección de la señorita Nicaragua. La razón por la que estas organizaciones son importantes en su periodo de transición es el tiempo en el cual los méritos, familias, vecinos del mismo país han empezado a trabajar con gente joven, la primera generación que nació aquí, y manteniendo intacto su cultura, su lenguaje, la comida, sus costumbres, y muchas veces cuando se meten a esta metrópolis, otras fuerzas empiezan a dominar y esas ocultas fuerzas que quisieran seducir nuestra gente, sus tradiciones, y manteniendo en línea con las tradiciones y culturas. Está orgulloso con nosotros para mantener esta autoestima, y esta es la clase de fundación que ha dejado nuestro país florecer como lo hacía, con nuestro entendimiento de lo con nuestra cultura. La Casa Nicaragua está celebrando el 22 años. Es que lo importante es que los queramos reconocer lo que han hecho.
But as we know, a
Como
great
ustedes saben,
organization
una
needs
gran
leadership,
organización
and in
necesita
this case, the
liderazgo. En este
leadership
caso,
comes from Mr.
liderazgo viene
Julio
del señor Julio
Cardosa.
Cardosa.
Mr. Cardosa
El
has a
señor
bachelor's
Cardosa
associate
tiene
degree in
una asociación
vocation
de
education.
educación.
He is also
También
a
es
graduate from the National
graduado
School of
de
Commerce
la
of
Escuela
Managua,
de Comercio
Nicaragua.
de
He's a
Nicaragua.
naturalized citizen of the
Es
United States
ciudadano
and
de
has
los
been
Estados Unidos,
instrumental
es
as
instrumental
executive director of
como
Casa
ejecutivo
Nicaragua,
de la Casa
in providing
Nicaragua,
immigration
proveyendo
services
servicios de
to
migración
the Nicaraguan community
a
of
la
Southern
comunidad
California,
del sur de
and
California,
helping in
de
several
liderar
cases
en
at the
varios
national
casos
level.
de
Mr.
nivel
Cardosa has received several
Se recibió
recognitions
varios
and
reconocimientos
diplomas for his
y
outstanding work
diplomas
as
por su
leader of the
trabajo
Nicaraguan
como
community in
líder
the
de la
United
comunidad de
States.
Nicaragua, Estados Unidos.
So with that, it gives me
Entonces, con
great
eso
pleasure
tengo un
to
placer
present the
para
certificates
presentar
of
el
Julio
certificado
Cardosa
del señor
and
Cardosa.
Casa Nicaragua.
Casa
I'd like to have
Nicaragua.
them
Me
join
gustaría que
me
estuviera
at
con
the podium,
nosotros.
please.
En el
Everyone
podio,
else
por
that came
favor.
with you, please come on up.
Por favor, venga con nosotros.
Yes, you too. The Casa Nicaragua has
Casa
several
Nicaragua tiene
whereases. But bottom
pero
line is
la
signed
cosa es que
by
está
every council
firmada por
member
los
in
miembros del
recognition of
Concilio,
the great work
reconocimiento por su gran trabajo,
contribution to the city of Los
contribución
Ángeles.
para la ciudad de Los Ángeles.
Mr. Cardosa.
Señor Cardón.
Good morning,
Good morning,
City Council members.
miembros del Concilio.
Good morning, ladies and
Buenos
gentlemen.
días, damas y caballeros.
Today is a special day
Es un
for
día
us.
especial para
My
nosotros.
name is Julio
Mi nombre
Cardosa,
es Oscar
Executive
Cardosa,
Director of Casa Nicaragua,
director
and
ejecutivo
I
de la Casa
really
Nicaragua.
emotionally
Estoy muy
this
emocionado con
recognition.
este
We
reconocimiento.
understand and we
Nosotros
receive on
sentimos que lo
behalf
recibimos
of
como
the
parte
Nicaraguan
de la
community
comunidad de
and on
Nicaragua
behalf of
y
the
como parte
board
de
members of
los
Casa
cuatro
Nicaragua
miembros de la Casa Nicaragua.
and our commitment to
Y
continue
nuestra obligación
supporting
para seguir
and in
soportando
solidarity for
en
those
solidaridad
people,
para esas
the
gentes
Central American and
de
Latin
la
American
Centroamérica y
organizations,
Latinoamérica, de las
to
organizaciones,
continue working real hard
trabajando muy duro
to get justice
para
like
agarrar
we have
justicia
with
como hemos tenido
Nicaragua.
con la
We
cara.
had a chance to
Tuvimos la chance
legalize the
de ir
immigration
una vía de
status
inmigración,
for
estatuto,
approximately
es
40,000
aproximadamente
Nicaraguans.
40,000
We will continue
nicaragüenses
supporting any
que van a
initiative in
soportar
the
todavía
Congress of the United
la
States
Nación y el
and
Congreso de
also
Estados
here
Unidos, y
locally
estamos aquí
to
localmente
support
para soportar
until we got
hasta que
everybody
nosotros
get
agarramos a
legal
todos
residency here in the
residencia
United
legal aquí en los
States.
Estados Unidos.
Thank you so much.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Mr.
Gracias,
Congressman Reyes, for this initiative.
Congresista Reyes.
Still a councilman.
Todavía soy consejero.
Again, just thank everyone.
Muchas gracias a
And
todos. Sí.
I'd like to recognize
Me
Manuel
gustaría
de la Rocha,
recordar a
Iván
de la Rocha,
Cardosa,
Iván Cardosa,
Reina Gutierrez,
Reina
Mario
Gutierrez,
Villa,
Mario Villa,
Finale, for their support here.
por su
Some
soporte
are here
aquí,
to join
algunos
us.
que están con
But again,
nosotros.
it's with great
Pero
pride that we
con
can
nuestro
present this to
orgullo
one of the
presentar
largest
esto a una de las más
Nicaraguan
grandes
communities in the
comunidades
city
nicaragüenses
of
en la
Los
ciudad de
Angeles,
Los
outside
Ángeles,
of Nicaragua. Thank
afuera
you.
de Nicaragua. Gracias.
Thank you, Councilmember
Gracias,
Reyes.
concejal.
Madam Clerk, first order of business, please.
Concejal
Approval of the
Reyes,
minutes.
aprobación de los
Mr. Reyes
minutos. Señor
moves
Luis se
and
mueve,
Ms.
el
Hahn
señor
seconds.
Han lo mueve.
Commendatory resolutions for
La
approval.
recomendación de resoluciones para aprobar, el señor García te lo mueve y el señor
Before beginning the regular
Antes de
agenda, Mr.
aprender
President, there
la
are
agenda
several
regular,
items
varios
that have been
asuntos que
requested
han
to be
sido pedidos
continued.
para
Item number
continuarse.
2, a
Asunto
request
número 2, petición
from
para
Councilmember
con el
Perry
concejal Perry
to continue that
para
matter to
continuar
May
esa cosa hasta
16.
mayo 16.
we have a
Miembros,
request to
tenemos
continue
opción para
item
continuar el
number
asunto número 2.
Seeing no objection,
Sin objeción.
that shall be
Esto debe
continued.
ser
And let me just
continuado.
announce
Déjame anunciar
to Mr. Bill
al señor
Christopher,
Bill
who is
Christopher,
here
que está aquí
on item number 2,
en el
that
asunto
this item
número
is
2, que este
being
asunto ha
continued.
sido continuado.
Next item.
And
Próximo
also,
asunto y
item number
también
8, a
asunto número 8,
request to
petición
continue
para
that
continuar
matter
ese asunto.
from Councilmember Zine
Señor
to continue that
Consensan
matter
para continuar
to
esa
February
causa hasta
21st.
febrero 21.
Members request to
Primero para
continue
continuar
item number 8.
asunto número 8,
Also without
también
objection.
sin objeción.
On the regular agenda,
La
Mr.
agenda
President, there
regular
is a
presente hay una
confirmation of
confirmación
Ms.
de
Christine
Linda
Roberts to the
Cristina Roberts en
Transportation
la
Commission,
transportación
and
de
that
la
is a
comisión y eso
Transportation
está en la
Committee report.
transportación en
Public
transportación.
hearing has been held in
Dice porque se
subcommittee.
hizo en
Ms.
comité.
Robert can come forward at this
Puede
time.
venir para adelante.
Members, as we've heard, we
Miembros,
do
como
have
vieron,
a committee
tenemos un
report
reporte de comité
recommending
recomendando
confirmation of Ms. Robert
confirmación
for
de la
us.
señora Robert para nosotros.
Members of the
Los
council
miembros
wishing
del
to be
Consejo
heard.
para ser oídos.
Mr. Labange.
Señor Lobancho.
Thank you. Good morning,
Gracias.
members.
Miembros,
I know we had a
Mr.
chance to
Robertson, tuvimos chance de
visit
visitar
the resident of the 4th District,
presidente
and I
del cuarto
appreciate your
distrito,
service to
aprecio su
the
servicio
city of
para la
Lake
ciudad
Manhattan for
de
selecting you.
Manhattan para
Just give us a little
seleccionar
brief overview
un
of the
breve
traffic
paso
issues
de
and
las
what you hope
cuestiones de
to
tráfico y lo que espera
accomplish.
llegar.
Thanks, Councilman.
Gracias, concejal.
I think all of us are
Yo
well
creo
aware
que
that one of the
vamos
most
a hacer que
pressing
todos los
issues facing the city is
cuestiones en
traffic
base a esta
congestion. And,
congestión de tráfico
to really look at what are the
debería ser ver
innovative
de las
methods that can be used
métodos
to
que pueden
relieve
ser usados para
congestion,
elevar
as well as to continue
congestionamiento
to
y
move
también
Los
continuar
Angeles
a mover
forward
Los
as a
Ángeles para
world-class
adelante
city.
como una
That'd
ciudad
be
muy
evidence
rápida
by
que va a
if
ser
we could get our
evidencia
arms around
para
some of the
empezar
main pressing
el
transportation
presente
traffic issues. I
transportación
don't
y tráfico.
want to pretend that I have
No quiero
all the
pretender
grand
que tengo
solutions today as much as I want to
todas las
commit to
respuestas
you
ahora y no quiero
my
decirles
efforts
que mis
to move the
esfuerzos
city in that direction
en
as
esa
a
dirección.
commissioner.
Well, no, well, thank you very
Bueno,
much
muchas
for your
gracias por
service,
su
and members, this
servicio y
would be a great
miembros. Esta será
commissioner
una
to serve
comisional para servir
our city
en
and
nuestra
serve our
ciudad
city
y en
well. And
nuestra
many of the
ciudad.
commissioners on the
Muchas de las
Department
comisiones en el
of
Departamento de
Commission have that
Transportación
advocacy
tienen
role
ese
because they have a great
rol
city
de
clerk who helps
advocacia,
them, but they also have a great
también
advocacy
tiene
role to deal with the
advocacia
issues
que
of
va a estar
traffic
con
that's
las
coming. And I see
cuestiones
our
de
assistant
tráfico y
chief
veo que
police
nuestro hermano
McDonald's here, and he
de
knows
McDonald's
how
aquí,
I
él
feel
sabe
about
cómo
traffic.
siente acerca del
Working
tráfico
together
y
with the
trabajando
Department of
juntos con el
Transportation, I think is an
Transportación creo que
important
es importante
aspect. So I
aspecto.
ask
Entonces
for an aye
pido
vote
que un voto de sí,
100%.
100%.
Thank you.
Gracias, concejal.
Thank you, Mr. LeBlanc.
Gracias,
Mr.
señor
Zine.
señor Sain.
Thank you, Mr. President, colleagues. Good
Gracias,
morning.
presidente, colegas. Buenos
I
días.
think we
Creo
interviewed
que
you in
nos entrevistamos
transportation
en transportación
recently.
recientemente.
You came through with
Y
flying
vino
colors.
con colores
You're going to
volando.
join a
Va a
very
estar
dedicated group of
estar con
individuals
un
who are
grupo
on
de
that
individuos que están
particular
en esa
commission.
comisión en
And
particular.
as the
Y
congestion
como el
increases
congestión
and the
aumenta,
population
la
increases and the
población
problems increase,
los programas
we'll look toward you and
aumenta y
your
vamos a ver a
committee
usted y
members
sus
to come up
miembros del
with
comité.
some solutions to
Sean
help
soluciones para
remedy the
ayudar
problem. I
a
don't know how
remediar
long
el
it took
problema.
you
No
to
sé
get here
cuánto
this
le tomó
morning
aquí
or
para
you
llegar esta
traveled,
mañana,
but
a dónde vino,
most
pero
of our commuters this morning are
los
bogged
llegaron
down
aquí
in the
en
rivers
los
around
ríos
this area. We know what
alrededor de
happens
esta
when it
zona que
rains, but
pasa
in the
cuando
normal
llueve, pero en las
conditions with
condiciones
road rage
normales
and the other situations in public transit that we need to improve,
furia
anything you
de
can do to
Ángel, lo que
help
puede
the
hacer
folks
para
like
ayudar a
me
la
and
gente
you and
como
everyone
yo y
else
todos los
to
demás
come up with some
para
reasonable
venir con
solutions and
esas
help that
soluciones
DOT,
para
which is a
estar
very
con
dedicated
eso
department,
que
continue to move people
compara con el
throughout the city of Los
Parlamento de la ciudad de
Angeles.
Los Ángeles.
I know we passed
Yo
it
sé
in
que
committee
pasamos
without
al
any
comité
problems,
sin
so
ningún problema,
I don't think
entonces
you're having
no creo que
problems
tenga
here.
ningún problema aquí.
I know you're going to be
Y que
joining
se
a
puede
wonderful
estar
group of people on
juntarse
that
con
particular commission
maravillosa
because they're
gente en
very
esa comisión,
dedicated
pues
to
gente muy
changing the current
dedicada
focus
para
to make
cambiar
it
el
move
foco
forward
de
aggressively.
ahorita
So
para agresivamente
congratulations,
sus
Steve. You got my
felicitaciones.
vote.
Tiene mi
Thanks,
voto, gracias, consejero.
Looking forward to it.
Mr. Reyes.
Señor Reyes,
Thank you, Council President.
gracias,
One,
consejero.
I've worked with
Yo he trabajado con
you on several
en
projects.
varios
Just in the goal line
proyectos,
recently,
en la línea de oro, recientemente de la
going back
MTA,
on how many years.
en varios años.
The bottom line,
La
welcome.
cual
Thank
es
you for your good
bienvenida,
service.
gracias por
Looking
su buen
forward to working
servicio y espero
Thanks,
trabajar con usted, gracias.
Ms. Gruhl.
Señora Grum,
Thank you, Mr.
gracias,
President.
presidente.
I can't believe you said, you
No
told her that
puede
she's already
ser,
going to get our
dijo usted que
votes. We
se
have
va
to
a
make it a little more
ganar sus votos,
difficult for
se
her,
va a hacer
Mr.
más difícil para el
Sine.
señor
Yes.
Sine.
But I also want
Pero
to
yo
stand in
también quiero
support
parar mi
of
soporte a
Christine's
Christine.
appointment today, and transportation is an
ser
important
asignado y
part
es
of the city.
importante como parte de la ciudad.
If we didn't realize that
Si no nos
already,
damos cuenta
driving
de
in
eso,
this
manejando
morning
esta
and yesterday
mañana y
morning,
ayer,
we have a taste of
tuvimos
how many
una prueba
challenges we
de
do face in
cuántos
Los Angeles.
nos
And
encaramos
you have been a community
en Los
activist
Ángeles,
here
activista de la
within
comunidad
the
dentro
city,
de la
and
ciudad.
have been someone
Y
who
he sido
has
alguien que
made several
ha hecho
recommendations on
varias
how we can do things
recomendaciones
better,
cómo
and I'm glad
podemos
now
hacer
it'll be in
cosas
an even more
mejores
official
y va a ser más
capacity here in Los Angeles.
capacidad
But we
más
thank you
oficial,
for
pero
your
damos las
commitment
gracias
and
por su
willingness to serve in the city of Los
dedicación y
Angeles.
servir a la ciudad de Los
Councilwoman,
Ángeles.
and
Gracias,
congratulations
concejal,
to
y
you as well.
felicitaciones a
Thank
ustedes
you.
también.
Other members wishing
Otros
to be
miembros que deseen
heard?
ser oídos,
Seeing none,
dígase
we're ready for a
ninguno.
vote.
Estamos listos
Madam
para
Clerk,
votos.
please
Por
open
favor,
the
ábrese
roll.
la lista.
Please close the
Ciérrese
roll
la
and
lista.
tabulate the vote.
Tabulece el voto.
11 ayes.
11 sí.
Congratulations.
Felicitaciones.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Gracias, señor presidente, miembros del
Thank you for
Consejo.
serving the city.
Gracias por servir a la ciudad.
Forthwith on the side
Para
of
adelante
business.
en este asunto, por
Next item.
favor. El próximo
Next one,
asunto,
Mr.
por
President.
señor
Item number
presidente,
one is the
asunto número
Building
1
and
es
Safety
seguridad
Assessment.
de
However, the Building and Safety Department has advised that that matter may be received and filed inasmuch as the assessment has been
Ya se
paid.
hizo la evaluación, ya se hizo.
Request by the
Miembros,
department to
petición del
receive and
departamento
file
para
item
recibir en
number
archivo
one.
el asunto número 1.
Seeing no objections, objections,
Sin
ordered.
objeción, está ordenado.
Next item,
The
please.
next
Próximo
items,
asunto
Mr.
por
President,
presencia,
items
presente
3,
asunto
4,
3, 4,
and
5 y
6 are
6 son
confirmations of assessments of
confirmaciones de
building and
educación de
safety.
los
Items 3 through
construcción
6 before
y
us.
seguridad
Members
de
wishing
los
to call any specials.
alguna
I have no
especial,
request
no
to the public
tuvimos
to
el
address the
público
council on
para
these
hablar
items.
al Consejo
So we shall
de
leave the
estos
public
vamos
hearing
a la audiencia
satisfied and
pública
seeing no request
satisfecha y
to
no
call matter
peticiones
special.
para llamar esto
Madam Clerk,
especial.
would you please
Por
open the
favor, hacer
roll?
la lista,
Please close the roll
cierre la lista,
and tabulate
establece
the
el
vote.
voto.
11 ayes.
11 sí.
Items 3 through 6
Asuntos 3
are
al 6 están aprobados.
approved. Next item, please.
Próximo
Next item,
asunto,
Mr.
próximo
President, item
asunto,
number
señor
7
presidente. Número
is
7
a
es
public hearing item. There
audiencia
is an
pública.
ordinance
Hay
on
una
the file, and
ordenanza
I
en el
believe a
archivo.
card
Creo
has
que
been
una
submitted.
tarjeta se ha sometido. Puede pasar a la tarjeta. Vamos a llamar especial.
Next item is
Próximo
item number
asunto,
9.
asunto número
Actually, both 9 and 10 are
9
public
días
hearing
son
items,
audiencias
and there are
públicas.
cards
Y hay
submitted on
tarjetas
both of
sometidas
those.
en las dos de esas. Vamos tarjetas en el 9 y 10. Vamos a llamar los dos especiales.
Next item is, Mr.
Próximo asunto,
President, items for which
presidente,
public
asunto por
hearings have
audiencia
been
pública
held.
se hicieron
Items 12
asuntos
through
12 al
19. Item
19.
number
Asunto
19, there is
19
only
es
one signature on the
una
file, and a
firma. El
motion is
archivo, una moción
required.
se requiere. 17.
Items 12 through 19 now
12 al
before us.
10
Public
enfrente
hearings
nuestra
have been
audiencia
held
por
in
ley
committee on
en
these
el
items.
comité en estos
A motion
asuntos.
from
Una
the
moción
floor would
por
be
piso se
required to
requería
reopen the
para
public
abrir la
hearings.
audiencia pública.
Seeing no such motion,
Sin
members
moción,
wish to call
miembros que desean
questions, beginning with
especiales
Ms.
por
Hahn.
pensando con la señora
Item
Hahn. Asunto número 17.
special, please.
Especial, por
17
favor,
calls by
17
Ms.
especial,
Hahn.
señora Hahn.
Mr. Garcetti.
Señor Garcetti. 12, por favor,
12
presente.
special by Mr.
12 más,
Garcetti.
vamos por el señor Garcetti.
Any other specials?
¿Algún otro especial?
Mr. Reyes?
Señor Reyes.
Any other specials?
¿Algún otro especial?
Seeing none,
Dígase ninguno.
we do require a motion for
Requerimos una
item
moción para el
19
asunto 19.
to have a motion from the
Para
floor
tener
on
una
item
moción del
19.
piso del
If
asunto
not, then we'll
19,
hold this
si no vamos a
matter
tener este
as a special
asunto
item as
como
well.
asunto especial también.
Madam Clerk, on the
Por
balance of
favor,
the
el balance de
items,
los asuntos.
please open the roll.
Por favor, hacer la lista.
please close the
Cierres
roll
la lista
and tabulate
y
the vote.
tablece el voto.
11 ayes.
11 sí.
Those are approved.
Están
Item
aprobados.
13,
Asunto
being
3
an ordinance,
es una ordenanza.
rolls over for a second
Se va
reading.
para una segunda lectura.
Next item, please.
Próximo asunto, por
Next
favor.
item,
El
Mr.
próximo
President,
asunto, señor
are items
presidente,
for
son
public
asuntos
hearings have
porque la
not been
audiencia
held.
pública no se han
Items
hecho.
20
Asunto
through
20 al
38.
38.
Items 20 through 38 now
20 al
before us.
38 enfrente de
I do not have
nosotros. No
requests
tengo
from the
petición
public
del
to address
público
the
para
council on
hablar
these
con la
items, so
Constitución de
we'll
estos
deem the
asuntos.
public
Vamos a
hearing
poner la audiencia
satisfied.
pública satisfecha.
Members wishing to call any
Miembros que llamar
specials?
algún
Ms. Hahn.
especial, señora Han.
I just would like to
Me
request
gustaría
14
pedir
forthwith,
14
please.
para adelante, por favor.
With on item
14
14.
para adelante.
20 through
Son 20 al
38, any
38, ¿algún especial?
Seeing none,
Dígase
Madam
ninguno,
Clerk,
por favor.
please open the
Ábrase
roll.
la lista.
Please close
Ciérrese
the
la
roll
lista.
and tabulate
Tablece
the
el
vote.
voto.
11 ayes.
11 sí.
Those are approved.
Están
Items
aprobados
20
asunto
through
al 20 y
23 being ordinances
33 son
carried over for a
ordenanzas se
second
van para
reading.
una segunda lectura.
Next item, please.
Próximo asunto, por favor.
Next item, Mr. President,
Señor
on the
presidente, en
continuation
la
agenda,
continuación de la
item number
agenda,
39
asunto
is a public
39
hearing
es
item.
audiencia
This matter was
pública. Esta
continued
es
from yesterday.
continuada
It's the
de
street
ayer,
lighting
de luces
district
de la
in
calle en
Council
el
District
distrito
1.
consejo
Item
número
39
39 frente a
Mr.
nosotros,
Reyes.
señor Reyes.
On item 39,
Asunto
did you wish to be
39
heard?
y que desea ser oído.
If not, the public
Si no,
hearing
la
is
audiencia
open. We
pública está
did
abierta.
begin public hearing
Empezamos audiencia
yesterday.
pública ayer.
And unless there's further
A menos que
discussion
haya
today,
discusión hoy,
the public hearing
la
will
audiencia
continue
pública va a
and this item will
continuarse
be
en este asunto, va a
continued
continuarse
to March 4th.
hasta marzo 4.
Next item, please.
Próximo asunto,
Next
por
item, Mr.
favor.
President,
Señor
item number
presidente,
40 is an
40.
item for which
Es un
public
asunto por
hearing
audiencia
has not been
pública,
held.
no se ha hecho.
And I do not have
Y no
requests
tengo
from the
petición del
public to
público
address the council
para
on
hablar
item
con el
number 40.
concilio en el asunto 40.
Members wishing to call
¿Puede
this
ser
matter
una
special?
especial?
Seeing none.
Dígase ninguno.
Ms. Mizikowski,
Eso
call
me
item
acuerdo que
40 special.
40 especial.
I only
No,
wanted to go to
más quería
committee,
ir al
and it
comité.
wasn't adopted today, but as the
Adoptar
ordinance
la
report
propuesta de
comes
ese
back, the
reporte,
report comes back
entonces
to the
reporte
committee.
para el comité.
Okay, that's, I think, simple enough,
Pues
technical in
simple,
nature.
técnico y
With that
naturaleza.
amendment,
Con
with
ese
that
amendamiento, con
understanding,
ese
Madam Clerk,
entendimiento, secretario,
open the
por
roll.
favor, hacer la lista.
please close the
Ciérrese la
roll
lista,
and tabulate
tabulece
the
el
vote.
voto.
11
11
ayes.
sí.
That is approved.
Está aprobado.
Next item, please.
Próximo asunto, por favor.
Going back to the items
Regresando a
called
los asuntos,
special,
llamamos
item number
especial,
7
asunto
was
número
called
7,
special
llamo
for
especial
cards from
para
the
una
public.
parte del público.
Item number 7 now
Número
before us,
7,
the
enfrente a
council calls
nosotros, el
forward
Consejo llama para
Jerry
adelante, Jerry
Rabinowitz.
Benewitz.
I do live about
vivo
100
como a
yards
100
away
yardas
from
de-
this, from this project.
De este proyecto.
This morning at 5 to 7, it
Esta
took
mañana
me
de 5 a
8
las 7 me
minutes
tomó
to
8 minutos
leave my
para salir
condo
del
complex,
complejo del condo,
but it was raining.
pero estaba lloviendo.
The previous 7 days,
Los
it took me
previos 7 me
6
tomó
minutes
6 minutos
to turn
para
right,
dar la vuelta a la
100
derecha,
yards away
100
from
yardas
this
de
proposed
este
project.
propuesto proyecto.
Now they want
Ahora
this
quieren a este
project to be
proyecto
increased,
que aumente,
to be larger.
para que sea más grande.
I urge the
Le
council
urjo al
to
concilio
approve the
que
committee's
aprueben el
report
reporte del
to
comité
leave
para
it
dejar
at a height of
a una altura de
45 feet.
45 pies.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Thank you very much.
Gracias,
We have another
gracias.
speaker on
Tengo un
item
otro
number
orador
7,
en el número
Mr.
7,
Ben Resnick.
señor Ben Resnick.
Thank you, Mr.
Gracias, señor
President. I don't
presidente.
think
Yo no
I need to
tengo
speak
que
on the
necesito
matters.
hablar en el asunto.
We recommend adoption of
Recomendamos
the Plum
adopción
Committee
del
report, which reaffirms the
comité
Planning
que
Commission's
reafirma la
support for the
Comisión del
project.
soporte
Thank
para
you.
el proyecto. Gracias.
Thank you. This includes
Eso
public
concluye
comment.
comentario público en el asunto número 7. Miembros que deseen ser oídos, empezando con el señor
Thank you,
Weiss.
Mr. President. Mr. Rabinowitz, agree with
Yo estoy de
the
acuerdo
sentiment you
con el
expressed.
sentimiento que
It's
usted
important
expresó, que es
the project
importante
be-
que el proyecto
Mr.
sea
Rabinowitz, it's
es
important that we
importante
keep
que
a
mantengamos
control on it, that we keep a
control
lock on it.
cerrado
And
en
that was
y eso
the
fue
decision that we're
la
very
decisión
fortunate
que
was made by
afortunada que se hizo
Mr. Reyes'
del
committee.
comité del señor
And
Reyes.
I couldn't
Y
agree
yo
with
no
you
puedo
more
estar de acuerdo con usted
for the
más
reasons
por las
you
razones que usted
stated
dijo
to ensure that
para asegurar que
we have some
tengamos
meaningful
algún
control on
control
that type of
en esa
development.
clase de
I
desarrollo.
also
Yo
encourage my
también le
colleagues
alento a mis
to vote to
colegas para
approve
votar para
what Mr.
aprobar
Reyes
lo
and
que el
his
señor
committee
Reyes
reported to this
cometió en
council.
este
Thanks
consejo.
for coming, Mr.
Gracias por venir.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Gracias, señor presidente.
Mr. Reyes.
Señor Reyes.
Ms. Misikowski.
Señora Makowska.
Members, this is one of
Miembros,
those
este es uno
projects
de
in a
esos
district
proyectos en el distrito
that
que
shifted from one council
cambió de
area
un
to another
área del
because of the
concilio por
redistricting we
el
did last year.
redistricción que
It's
hicimos
a
el
major
año
project.
pasado.
I
Es un
think it is
proyecto
worthwhile
mayor que
calling
vale
attention
llamar
to
la
it
atención en él.
because as it had
Porque
initially
como
started, and
inicialmente
if you
había
just read
empezado,
what
y
the
si no más
project
de acuerdo que el
application
proyecto, la
was, it was much
solicitud
bigger,
era más
much more
grande, más
significant
significante
than what both the
de
Planning
lo que los
Commission
dos Comisión
approved
de
and
Plan
then the
aprobó y
Planning
luego el
Committee
Comité del Planeamiento
allowed, which
dejó
does
entonces
recognize
que
the
reconoce los
45-foot height limit on
45 pies
Ventura
de
Boulevard. But it is
altura,
an interesting and a good project because what it is saying is
por lo que
Ventura
está diciendo que
Boulevard is
Ventura
one of
Boulevard es
those
una de esas
streets which
calles
should have
que deberían de
mixed
tener
use, should have
vistas revueltas
residential on it. It's well
residencial,
served by
también bien
transit
servido
lines.
por líneas de tránsito.
It's got some walkability in
Tiene
terms of people
caminada
living,
de la que la
as Mr.
gente, como
Rabinowitz
el
does, in a
señor dice,
condo that was
en un
built
condo
probably
que fue
about
creado
12 or
como
15
12
years
o
ago,
15 años
that you can
anteriormente,
actually walk
que
along
puedan
Ventura
caminar
Boulevard
por
to the
ese
restaurants,
bulevar
to
a
some
los
of the
restaurantes,
shops.
algunos
We
de los
want to
talleres.
encourage more
Queremos
of that
alentar
in
más de eso.
our sort of urban area rather
áreas
than the
urbanas en vez
dependency
de
on
la
cars for
dependencia en
everything.
carros para
So I
todo.
think this one
Entonces
as a
creo
mixed
que
use
esto
instead
tiene
of just
uso
another commercial
revuelto,
development on the
es un
boulevard
desarrollo
is
de
a good project.
construcciones,
I was pleased to see its both its continuity and its restrictions that were approved
que fueron aprobadas.
as the project went through
El
the
proyecto
process.
pasó
So
por el
I'm happy
proceso.
to
Estoy feliz
also
de que
support the
también soporto
recommendation
la
of Mr. Weiss
recomendación del
and the
señor
Plum
Weiss
Committee.
y el Comité de Plan.
Thank you, Ms.
Muchas
Misikowski.
gracias, señor
Other members
Marcos.
wishing to
¿Otros
be
miembros que
heard?
deseen ser oídos?
Seeing none,
Puede ser
Madam
ninguno.
Clerk,
Pues
please
el
open the
secretario
roll.
abre la lista.
Please close the
Cierre la
roll
lista.
and tabulate
Tabúlese
the
el
vote.
voto.
12 ayes.
12 sí.
That is
Eso
approved.
está aprobado.
Next item, please.
Próximo asunto, por favor.
Next item, Mr. President, item number 9 is also a public hearing item, and cards have been submitted.
Asunto número 9 frente a nosotros. Para el señor Roger
Diamond,
Diamond,
followed by
seguido
Fred
por Fred Alfano.
Mr. Diamond.
Señor Diamond.
Yes, good morning. My
Sí,
name is
buenos días,
Roger
mi nombre
Diamond.
es
I'm the
Roger
attorney
Diamond. Yo
for
soy el
the
abogado
bookstore.
para la
The zoning administrator has
el
imposed
administrador de
conditions
zonas para las
which, for
condiciones
the
que
most part, are
casi
acceptable to
son
my client. There
aceptables
are a
para
few
mi
that,
cliente,
however, would cause some
pero nosotros
problems.
causaron algunos
First,
problemas.
the
Primero,
zoning administrator
el administrador de
wants
zona
5
quiere 5
employees at the store
empleados en
that's
la
only
tienda que
3,000
solamente
square
son
feet.
3,000 pies
He wants
cuadrados.
2 licensed
Tiene
security guards,
guardias
a
de
clerk,
seguridad, 2
a manager, and a
un manager
janitor.
y un janitor.
My client can
Mi cliente
afford
no
only
puede
2
solamente puede
persons
ser 2
there,
personas ahí.
a manager, clerk,
Un manager,
and a
clerk
security
y
guard.
un guardia
So
de
we
seguridad.
respectfully
Entonces
ask this honorable
respetamos
city
que el
council
Concilio de la Ciudad
to reduce the
respectivamente que
required
reduzcan
number
los
of
requerimientos de
employees for this
empleados
very small
para
retail
este
business
pequeño
from
negocio
5 to
de
2.
5 a 2
So we could
para que podamos
survive. We had a
sobrevivir.
manager
Tenemos un manager
who also functions as a
también
clerk
funciona
and
como
1 licensed security guard. Otherwise, as a
de otra
practical
manera,
matter,
como una manera
the city
práctica
will
la
put my
ciudad va a
client out
poner
of
a mi cliente
business,
fuera de negocio.
deprive my
Y
client
prohibirá
of
mi
income,
negocio de ganancias
will be very
que va a
unfair.
estar bastante injusto.
Secondly, the zoning administrator
Segundamente, el
wants the
administrador de
store to
zonas quiere
close
que
by
la tienda
10
cierre
p.m.
para las 10 de la
This would
noche.
be
Esto
extremely
es
unfair
realmente
since other
injusto como
businesses
otros
are open much
negocios están
later
abiertos más
in the
tarde.
day,
En el
including
día,
competitors. We would prefer to
competidores,
be
supermercados
open
que estuvieran
24 hours a
abiertos
day,
24 horas
as
al
is the
día,
current
como está
situation.
la situación
Finally,
ahorita.
there's a
Y
question of
finalmente hay una
jurisdiction.
pregunta de jurisdicción.
The city attorney has
El
filed a
fiscal le ha
separate
puesto
lawsuit
una
against the
demanda
establishment
contra del
and is
establecimiento
proceeding to
y
try
está
to get an
procediendo a tratar
injunction,
de
a
agarrar una
permanent
injunción
injunction. There's a preliminary injunction in force now, which contradicts and conflicts with many of the conditions imposed by the zoning administrator, and it seems to me, to save valuable tax dollars, the city of Los Los Angeles should
puestos
decide
debe
whether
decidir si
its city attorney
su
should proceed
fiscal debe de
to try to
proceder
solve
para
a
tratar de
problem, or
resolver un
whether the zoning
problema, que si el
administrator should
administrador de
try
zona
to
debe de
solve the problem.
resolver
But
un
right now,
problema, pero
the
ahorita
city of Los
la ciudad de
Angeles
Los
is
Ángeles
operating
está operando
in sort of a two-headed fashion. It's
diversos
got
como
the city
dos
attorney on the
cabezas,
one
el fiscal
hand
de una
and
mano,
the zoning administrator on the
el
other.
administrador de zona en
This
otro
does not
lado,
make
esto no
sense, and
tiene
it's wasting
sentido,
valuable
que
tax dollars
están
that
gastando
could be better
dinero
spent
de
on
impuestos que puede ser
defeating
mejor gastado
terrorism in this country,
en el
hiring school
terrorismo,
teachers,
contratar
hiring extra
maestros,
police
contratar
officers.
oficiales
It makes no
extras, y no
sense for
tiene
the
sentido para
taxpayers
los
of the city of Los Angeles to
impuestos a la
finance
ciudad de Los Ángeles
two separate
financiar dos
enforcement actions
diferentes
that are
acciones de
contradictory
enforzamiento
to
que
each
están
other.
conectadas
One by
contra
the city attorney, which
una
is
por el
pending in
fiscal de la
court,
ciudad y
and the
está
other by the
pendiente en la
zoning
corte y el otro
administrator. It
administrador de
also
zona.
creates a
También crea
practical
un
problem
problema
because we've been
práctico
trying
porque
to solve
nosotros
this
tratando de
problem by
solucionar este
negotiating
problema
settlement,
negociando
but we
un
don't have
arreglo, pero
anybody
no
with whom we
tenemos a
can
nadie con quien
negotiate
podemos
because
negociar
the two
porque
bureaucrats,
los dos
the city
burócratas
attorney on the
del
one hand
fiscal de
and
una
the
mano
zoning
y el
administrator of the other
administrador del
don't
otro
recognize
no
each other,
reconocen a
and
uno
we
al
can't
otro y no
deal
podemos
with two
estar con
different
dos
entities
diferentes
that are trying to
entidades
solve the
que
same
están tratando de
problem. So
resolver
we
el mismo
beg this
problema.
honorable
Entonces
city council
el concilio de
as the
haciendas
ultimate authority
rogamos como
in the
la
city of Los
autoridad
Angeles
última de la ciudad
to
de Los
direct
Ángeles
that
que
either the
digan
city
cuál es el
attorney
fiscal de la ciudad
negotiate with
que
us or
negocie
take
con
action
nosotros,
against
tomar
us if we
acción
can't
contra
reach a
nosotros si no
settlement,
podemos
or
llegar a un
direct that the
arreglo,
zoning
liberalmente el
administrator
administrador de
take action
tome
and
acción
negotiate with
y
us
negociar
or
con
take it to the
nosotros,
fullest
tomar la
extent. But
extensión
please
completa,
stop
pero
this
paren
this
esta
bureaucratic nightmare of having two separate
pesadilla
agencies
burocrática, dos
dealing with
agencias
the same
separadas con el
problem.
mismo problema.
Our court system
Nuestro sistema
is
de corte
overwhelmed
está
with cases. And if
sobrecargado
we
en
could
casos,
settle
si
with the
podemos
ZA
arreglar con
or with the city
o con
attorney,
el
we
fiscal,
will do so.
entonces vamos a
Right
hacerlo.
now, we can't,
Ahorita no podemos,
given the dual nature of the enforcement action. So
por la
please
acción dual
direct the
de
ZA
la
or the city
acción,
attorney to
diríjale
deal
al
with us,
fiscal o que
one or
hacemos
the
nosotros
other,
de
but
una
not
manera u
both.
otra, pero no los
Now,
dos.
Mr. Alfano would also
Señor
like to
Alfano también
address
le
you. Thank
gustaría
you very
hablar
much.
con ustedes. Gracias.
Mr. Alfano?
Señor Alfano,
I would like to
me
just wait my
gustaría
time.
He's
pasar
waiving
mi
his
tiempo.
time.
Está
Does
quitando su
anybody
tiempo.
have any
¿Alguien
questions or
tiene alguna
comments?
pregunta o
It's a
comentarios?
very
Es
important
muy
matter,
causa muy importante,
principally and theoretically,
principalmente y
because
teóricamente,
this
porque
problem, I think,
este
relates to
problema
other
se
city
relaciona a
functions
otras
too,
funciones
where
de
you
la
have
ciudad donde
overlapping
tienes
jurisdiction, conflicting
jurisdicciones con
regulations,
regulaciones
and tax
conflictivas
dollars are
y
wasted in
dólares
this
de impuestos
particular
están
process.
gastándose en este
The trouble
proceso.
is you can
El
never get
problema
an
es que nunca
audience with
pueden
the
agarrar
city
una audiencia
because when
para
you
la
come to
ciudad
city
porque cuando
council
viene al
meetings,
concilio
usually the council members
solamente el
are busy
concilio
talking to their
están
staff or they're thinking about other
ocupados
issues,
hablando con
or for
sus
whatever
staff
reason,
y
they
por la
can't
otra
seem to
razón no
focus
pueden
on the
parecer
issue. It's not
enfocarse en
that
la cuestión, no es tan
complicated. Either have the ZA
tienen
or
el
the city
CEA o
attorney
la
deal with us.
fiscal con
Just
nosotros,
pick one.
nomás
We don't care
recojan,
who it
no
is.
importa
All right,
quién
Mr.
sea.
Diamond, if we have any
Si
questions, we
tenemos
will
alguna
ask you, but
pregunta,
at this
vamos a hacerlo,
point,
pero
let
en
me
este
turn to
punto
Mr.
déme voltear
Reyes.
con el señor Reyes.
We also have the zoning
Tenemos el
administrator here who
de
can
zona
explain
que
the
puede
case, but
explicar el
first let me
caso.
recognize
Primero,
Councilmember Reyes.
Thank you, Council President. Chair Plum, we heard
El señor
this
Plum,
case,
oímos este caso.
my colleagues and I, and I'd
Fue
like
negado y
to
me
hold my
gustaría
time
detener mi
and have
tiempo
the auditor give
después
us
de
a
que
quick summary.
nos dé un sumario
where we're at.
rápido sobre
Members of the City
miembros del
Council,
Consejo
John
del
Perica,
John
zoning
Perica,
administrator.
administrador de
This is an
zona.
adult
Esto se ha
bookstore
llevado
that has
en una
become historically
librería
a
que
gathering
históricamente
place for
donde
gay
se
men
juntan
to
por hombres gays
engage
que
in illegal
están
sexual
en
activities.
actividad ilegal
This
sexual.
use
Este
has
uso ha
residential
sido residencial
single-family homes
con
immediately
cosas
behind it
inmediatamente
and
atrás de
also
él y también
across the
enfrente
street from
la
it.
calle de
This problem
este
has been
problema ha sido
exacerbated by internet
exacerbado por
postings that
internet.
would call attention to it. The police are making an average of 3 arrests a month every anytime they want to go into the site. This use has been going on in the community for over 25 years. When is enough enough? When children walk through the community and have been propositioned, or you can't walk out in front of your house without seeing some type of illegal activity going on in a parked car at night, when do you lose the protection of your own neighborhood? This is a time for the City Council to do the right thing.
Thank you. I'm astounded on how we play this bait and switch game with process in the city, when in fact, the very obvious is in front of us. There's been a tremendous injustice on the community, on the residents, on the children in this area. And we need to
necesitamos soportar lo que ha sido presentado enfrente de nosotros por el Comité de Administradores de las Condiciones. Es la cosa bien para hacerse. Está haciendo el negocio responsable, está haciendo seguros que estamos la calidad de vida. Y francamente es como tiempo de enfocarnos en esta cuestión, en esta causa. Entonces quiero dar la gracias a Juan Caboto y el comité por el trabajo que han hecho, para estar seguros que nosotros todas las perspectivas que hablen a la gente que vive junto y alrededor de este llamado establecimiento. Entonces, en este punto, me gustaría alentar a mis colegas a soportar el comité de no vamos a
this confusion that's been projected by the speaker is nothing but big cover of whatever else
cubrimiento de lo
is going on
lo
there.
que está pasando
The
ahí.
focus here is on
El
our
enfocamiento está ahí,
conditions. Let's stick to them, and
quédense
let's
ahí,
do what's right for
vamos a
this
hacer lo que está
community.
bien
Thank you.
para esta comunidad.
Thank
Gracias.
you, Mr. Reyes.
Gracias,
Chair
Reyes.
recognizes
Gracias,
Councilmember
señor
Zine.
señor Sain.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Muchas presentes,
I
colegas.
have a couple of
Yo
questions
tengo un par de
regarding
preguntas
the
acerca
location you
del
say
lugar
that
que
it's been
dice
there
que
for
está ahí
25
por
years.
25 años.
Approximately
Aproximadamente
late 70s, yes,
de
Councilman.
los 70s.
The illegal
Y la
activity, the
actividad
bicycling has been
ilegal
taking
que
place
se
during that
desenvuelve
period
durante ese
of time.
The
periodo de
history
tiempo. La
goes
historia
back that
va hasta
long, and
atrás.
Foothill Vice
Y
has
Foothill
said
has
that
dicho
this,
que
of
es
all of
de
the
todos
sites
los
in their
lugares
area in the
en
East
su
Valley,
área
this has drawn
ha
the
llevado
most
más
complaints and drawn
quejas,
the
ha
most
llevado
police
más en la
staff
policía,
time, and it's been
tiempo de
ongoing, and
staff,
we need to
y
stop it.
eso necesitamos parar.
Do these owners
Estos
own
dueños
any
en
other
algún
type
otro
businesses?
tienen la clase de negocios
Similar to that,
similar a eso.
I don't
Yo
know
no sé
if they currently
si
do
ahorita
or
o
not.
no.
And the neighborhood
Y
council,
el concilio del
the community,
vecindario y
the
la
police,
comunidad y la
they're all
policía,
opposing
todos
the
están
continued
opuestos a la
operation.
continuada operación.
And as I understand
Como
from
entiendo
the conversation this
las
morning,
conversaciones esta
testimony,
mañana del testimonio,
is you're willing to
están dispuestos
agree with
ustedes a estar bajo las
conditions
condiciones
to let the business remain
para que
intact.
el que
They're
no se quede
opposing the
estén
conditions that are
opuestos a
being
las
put in place.
condiciones que se
Is
ponen
that
en el lugar.
correct?
¿Es correcto?
As I understand what I've
Yo
heard,
entiendo lo que oí.
they have problems with
Ellos han
several of the
prometido varias
conditions.
de
Some
las
of those they can
condiciones, a
agree
veces pueden
to.
estar de acuerdo.
They've been operating
Están operando
24/7 all of this
24/7
time. The
durante todo
surrounding
este tiempo. Los
businesses
negocios
are small
alrededor
retails and
son
several
esos
restaurants
varios
that close
restaurantes.
at 10 o'clock.
Ellos cierran a
And
las
we've
10 de la noche y
documented
ellos
when these
documentamos
types of
cuando
lewd
estas
activities
clases de
take
actividades
place.
toman lugar.
And by the
Y por la
documentation, the lower part,
documentación,
the
la
page,
parte
they
abajo de la
occur,
pared
surprise,
ocurren
surprise, from 10
impresionantemente de las 10 de la
o'clock on
noche
the evening to the
hasta la
early
noche
morning.
hasta
By
la
closing them
mañana
at
para
10, it's
cerrar las 10 de
consistent
la
with
noche
existing
con tanto que
residential uses,
sus
but would eliminate
pero
about
eliminado como
40% of the
40%
arrests
de los
by
arrestos,
making them operate in a
haciéndolos operar
responsible period of time.
responsablemente.
So the business will remain
Nos quedaría,
active. It'll just have
solamente
conditions
tendría
which will
condiciones
then
que
reduce the
entonces
law enforcement
reduciría
problem
el
and improve the
problema
quality
de
of
la
life for the
policía y
Absolutely. The one existing
mejoraría
security
la
officer
calidad
has not done an adequate job. The arrests are being made
el arresto
inside
se han
and
hecho
outside of the
adentro y afuera
neighborhood.
del
Vice
vecindario.
has said we
Ha
have
dicho
to have
tenemos que
a
tenemos
security presence
una
in the
seguridad
neighborhood
presente en el
because the
vecindario
activities
porque
are
la
occurring
actividad
in
están
parked
ocurriendo
cars as well.
carros
And
parqueados
right now,
también y
there's no
ahorita
control
no hay
over that.
control sobre eso.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Thank you, Mr. Zine. Mr.
Gracias,
Padilla?
señor Padilla.
Madam Chair,
Gracias,
first of all, let me acknowledge
secretario de
that
reconocer que
this establishment is
este
currently in my
establecimiento ahorita
district,
está
but
en mi
like the previous
distrito,
item
pero
just considered, it shifted during the course of
cambió durante el
redistricting,
curso
so I
de
also want to commend
redistrictir
Councilman
al
Burns and
Consejo
his
Benson y
office
su
and his
oficina
staff
y su
for the
equipo
work
por
they've
el
put
trabajo
in
que han
prior
puesto
years,
antes de esto,
trying to add further
tratando de
restrictions
tener
on this
restricciones en este establecimiento para el mejoramiento de la vida de los residentes viviendo en esa área alrededor. Yo también le pido su soporte de lo que el Comité de Plan que soporte de nuestra zona y quiero dar las gracias por su la audiencia que tuvo usted. Que yo mencioné, este establecimiento está en el lugar y ha sido un molestia para la comunidad por 27 años, recuerda mi información. Y quiero convertir en vida, aunque es su abogado y los dueños de negocios están aquí. En la audiencia pública que se hizo, hubo docenas de otros oradores que estuvieron ahí, donde la audiencia pública duró 3 horas de testimonio. Esto no nomás es mención de zona actuando o fuera de información que sea presentada en papel. Algunas de las cosas que tomé de la audiencia de los residentes en su reporte fue la parte de la policía que pueden cambiar el negocio en cualquier momento y hacer un arresto de entre 15 minutos. En cualquier momento oímos información de cuántos arrestos por mes en la corte de años y años. Hemos oído de residentes que ha habido gente que ellos pueden hacer negocio antes o después y están acusando el vecindario, lo que llamamos contactos en bases técnicas, aunque el negocio puede ser en un área que está zonado apropiado, obviamente el impacto en el vecindario se va para lo demás, nada más de la calle de Bench en esa área. Nada más habían atrás de la propia en su nuevo vecindario residencia. Entonces yo creo que hablo por la audiencia, el testimonio ha sido ofrecido, el ministro de Zona lo ha hecho en tomar en esta discusión para las mediciones que ellos recomiendan. El comité de Plan tomó una audiencia y este no es un voto unánime, viene del comité del plan. Yo creo que les echan por sí mismo. Yo pido como representante de este distrito ahora por soporte en este asunto y yo creo que el señor Jericho Gómez del comité del plan por su trabajo en este asunto en el pasado.
Thank you, Mr. Padilla.
Señor Padilla.
Chair recognizes Councilmember
Consejero Gruhl.
Thank you, Madam
Gracias,
President.
Presidente.
I stand in support
Por el
of
soporte
Councilmember
del
Padilla and
concejal
Mr.
Padilla y
Reyes
el
as
señor
chair of
Reyes
PLUM.
como
And
presidente
colleagues,
del
I
plan.
rarely
Yo
lose my
raramente
cool.
pierdo mi...
And as
y
Mr. Reyes
el
said
señor
to
Reyes
me
me dijo a
that
mí,
day, remember when
decía,
you're
recuerda
expecting a
cuando está
child, you should
esperando un
not
niño,
let
no
your
debe
blood pressure get that
levantar
high.
su presión
But
tan
I
alta, pero yo
have
tengo
been in the council now 10 months and served on PLUM, and we have heard revocations, we've heard conditions on a number of projects. But I have never had a zoning administrator talk so strongly about a position, or our police department for that matter of fact, because they're usually very calm and you know, don't want to, you know, unemotional, as Ms. Han said. And they were very, very strong in their presentation. The strongest I've heard in any planning and land use issue we've had before Mr. Reyes' committee. So this is a business which we are putting conditions on to meet the needs of the neighborhood. And all of us would want to make sure that our neighborhoods were free of these kinds of activities. And there are so many things that we can't, I don't even want to say publicly for who will be listening to this at this point in time on TV that have happened in that neighborhood and in that facility. And so I think that we are honoring that they have a right to own a business, but at the same time have put conditions, 35 of them, that protect the neighborhood, protect the potential clients, and the businesses surrounding them. So I stand in support of Mr. Reyes and Mr. Padilla and my colleagues on this issue. Thank you, Ms. Gruhl. Seeing no one else wishes to speak, the matters before us, we have the Planning and Land Use Management Committee report. Open the roll.
Ábrese la lista.
Close the roll.
Cierre la lista.
Tabulate the
el
vote.
voto.
12 ayes.
12 sí.
That matter, the report is
El reporte
approved.
está aprobado.
Forthwith.
Para adelante.
Next item.
Próximo asunto.
Next item, Madam President, item number 10, Planning Land Use Management Committee report has been submitted. I believe it's in the process of being distributed to the council members.
All right, this is also a public hearing.
Audiencia pública.
We have cards that are
Tenemos
submitted.
tarjetas que han sometidas.
Let me call on this
Déjeme llamar
case
en este
Mr. Dean
caso al señor
Masterman,
Dean Masterman,
Deborah
Deborah
Steffens,
Steffens.
Thank you, Madam President, council members. My name is Dean Masterman. I'm the attorney representing the developer. I would like to say that the developer has worked with council member Gruhl's office and Dale Trash, and we'd like to thank them for their help. This developer has been over backwards to comply with the community plans and to address neighbor concerns and to maintain the rural integrity and horsekeeping integrity of the community. The developer has agreed to preserve nesting trees. There's an M&D that imposes hundreds of conditions that the developer has to comply with. He's agreed to preserve pepper trees. The project's been scaled down from 23 to 21 homes. The developer has agreed to build a continuous horse trail around the entire development so that horse riding members can be safe from traffic and have a place to ride their horses, and has agreed to grant an easement to that horse trail for public use. The developer, this project's been moving back and forth since 1999 through various committees and through the process, and with the assistance of Councilmember Gruhl and Dale Trash and the Plum Committee and the various committees. This project, with its current conditions, will beautify the area and improve the area and still maintain the rural integrity. We would ask that the full council approve the project as recommended by the Plum Committee. We would ask, though, that the one condition regarding Saturday work be modified so that interior work like carpentry, painting, and interior construction which will not affect noise and which will not affect the traffic be allowed to go forth. There were also 11 additional conditions which were imposed at Plum yesterday, and we would like to inform the council that the developer has no objection to any of those 11 conditions and will graciously accept those 11 conditions as part of his ongoing desire to meet the needs and concerns of the council member and her constituents, and we thank you very much.
Thank you. We have other speakers, Deborah Stevens, Patrick Wisman, and then Maria Mejia.
Good morning, council
Buenos días,
members.
miembros del Consejo.
My name is Deborah
Mi nombre es
Stevens,
Stevens,
and I live at
y yo vivo en
9975 Wheatland
997
Avenue in Shadow
Wheatland Avenue,
Hills.
Shadow Hills.
I was a former
Yo
appellant of this track in December of 1999, and I'm also a homeowner who has directly bordered this property for over 18 years. I consider myself well informed of the details of this proposed track, and I have been actively involved in the hearing process on this property since 1990, when it was first proposed by a previous owner. My opinion is that the current developers are like a needle in the haystack, the kind of developers that want this development to be recognized as an example of a well-planned equestrian subdivision that will enhance the neighborhood. I am in support of this kind of developer in my neighborhood. It is my strong opinion and that of my husband that this tract map should be given your approval today. This proposed subdivision as conditioned is consistent with the purpose and intent of the Shadow Hills Community Plan, and the 21 single-family dwelling units are allowable under the corresponding adopted plan zones according to the advisory agency decision letter dated 11/7/02. The decision letter also stated that the proposed tract map is consistent with the general and specific plans, and that the site is physically suitable for the proposed density of this development. There are approximately 27 pages of conditions for this tract to comply with, and some of the conditions also serve as mitigation measures in addition to the MMD. My husband and I feel that this tract, in compliance with the tract conditions, will conform with the equestrian nature of the neighborhood, because it will consist of large equestrian-zoned lots, a dedicated public equestrian trail system, and designated equine areas for each residential lot that conform with the equine regulations for setbacks as set forth in the LA Municipal Code. In addition, the reduction in density to 21 homes will help to reduce the total amount of grading to be done on the site, and part of Condition 23N states that the project is to conform with the city's hillside development guidelines. We respect this developer's right to develop this property in compliance with the tract conditions and the MMD. We are satisfied that the tract conditions along with the MMD do address the various impacts that this tract may create. We are satisfied and accept the design of this proposed tract. It is our opinion that the current tract map does represent honest efforts by the developers to address our various concerns about the development of this land. We do want to ask that the emergency fire access easement for this proposed tract that will be directly north of our property, that has been previously approved by the advisory agency, the Area Planning Commission, and the Planning and Land Use Management Committee, to remain as it is currently shown on the tract map. My husband and I are not opposed to responsible and reasonable development of land in Shadow Hills that can assimilate with and enhance the equestrian nature of the neighborhood. The fact that I was originally an appellant and I am no longer opposed to this proposed tract should attest to the fact that these developers have, in my opinion, acted reasonably and with integrity. I have lived in Shadow Hills for over half of my life, and I hope that any future developers of land in my neighborhood will recognize the reasonable steps I feel these developers have taken to allow their tract maps to evolve into its current equestrian-oriented configuration. In closing, I would also like to convey my personal feelings that many people, including the developers, made good-intentioned efforts so that this tract map can now better assimilate with the existing rural equestrian neighborhood of Shadow Hills that my husband and I truly care about. This tract has undergone much scrutiny during the current and past hearing process, and I would like to state again that both my husband and I, Paul Stevens and I, Deborah Stevens, feel that this tract be given your approval today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Patrick Wisman.
Good morning.
Buenos días.
My name is
Mi
Patrick
nombre es Patrick Wiseman. Yo vivo 853 Larrabee en West Hollywood. Es el residencia de Shadow Hills. Yo soy de otros dueños de la propiedad local 9945 Woodland Avenue en Shadow Hills. Miembros del Consejo, muchas gracias por tomar el tiempo de evaluar nuestras preocupaciones. Como ustedes saben, Shadow Hills es uno de los vecindarios más duros en el estado de Emerson para agarrar una construcción aprobada. Cuando fui a la oficina de Figueroa, yo le dije al que quería ver construcción en Shadow Hills. Entonces llegó al escritorio y me vio para arriba y para abajo con un brazo y nos dijo, esto es en mi camino para salir. Me deseo buena suerte como si iba a mandar en la frente de la guerra. Yo me di cuenta cuando fui a junta del vecindario cuando realmente me chiflaron, pero me quedé ahí. Para varias juntas yo empecé a agarrar con los vecinos y empezó el diálogo. La gente de Shadow Hills empezó a aceptarme, empecé a entender sus cuestiones. Yo muy rápido me di cuenta que algunos vecinos
an undesirable picture of our development after many
de nuestra construcción. Desde muchos diálogos con los vecindarios de resultados, el mapa que ustedes van a decidir para los vecinos que viven al norte de la Tuaca, las cuestiones sobre la vía abierta, la emergencia del fuego para el centro, estamos de acuerdo con la cuestión, no para evitar y cerrarlo por los lados desde nuestro propio costo. Pero un vecino en el sur, cuando muchas cosas se encuentran sobre esto, nuestro mejor para ponerla en paz. Para las cuestiones de densidad de esta ha sido reducida de 28 casos aprobados por el Consejo en 1990 a 27 y los 23 que fue aprobado el Consejo y ahora 21 casos corrientes en el mapa de
En adición,
tenemos por dos agentes y sus cuestiones para satisfacerlo. Estamos de acuerdo con construir celda que pasa por dentro y por afuera del camino. Y tenemos los antes de los caballos, la pasión que tienen esos caballos, y para ellos pusimos un camioneta de 23 pies, más para los caballos en cada lote, que nunca puede ser cambiado con tenis. Es una alberca o cancha de tenis, más que todos los vecinos que viven no querían que nosotros ensancháramos la calle. Nos querían que preserváramos los chilenos árboles de ambiente, y no más o menos el chairman del Shadow Hills, y para nada menos que el plan de la comunidad estaría. Y claro, lo hicimos. Para mi diálogo con la gente de Shadow Hills, yo me siento que yo lleve después de toda la mayoría de esas cuestiones del vecindario. Como saben, este proyecto está bajo una lupa desde 1960. Ahora siento que el mapa de Track es conforma y aumenta el carácter de Shadow Hills. Mi comentario público para los miembros del Consejo y especialmente para el miembro del Consejo Wendy Grove y su diputado Del Trash es que no voy a dejar que nunca van a regresar en estas decisiones con solución. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. The final speaker on this is Maria Mejia.
Good morning, council members. I agree with Mr. Wiseman and Dean Masterman that this project has been going on since the 1990s, and since the 1990s, the process has been unfair, and that's why it was approved at 28, 27, 23, and 21. It was only after that I filed the lawsuit and my attorney won in June 2001 that the process had to start over again. It was unfair because the city failed to follow proper procedures in regard to its environmental determination. It failed to give us notice, and it failed to take our comments into account. The process started over again last year in 2002. When the process started over again, the Deputy Advisory Agency again failed to follow proper procedures. It did not take public comment into account during the October comment period. It did not have the entire environmental file in the office as it indicated it would have. So again, procedures weren't followed. But when the process started over again in March 2002, it was pointed out that the city failed to follow proper zoning guidelines. The lot was designated RE41K, which meant that the lot had to be a minimum of 40,000 square feet. But it was only because the process started over again in 2002, and after filing the lawsuit, that the city finally realized and accepted that its zoning was inaccurate. This is a basic fundamental aspect of the Deputy Advisory Agencies and the Planning Department's job. This should have been realized in 1999, not after a lawsuit. Anyway, so the process has continued to be unfair up until this point. Why is it unfair? Well, because the decision has been predetermined. Why has it been predetermined? It's been predetermined because the special interest of
los
the developer
intereses del
and
constructor
certain
y
council
ciertos
people
gente del
have
concilio
been too
han sido
intertwined. For example, when the process started in 1999, former Councilman Wax received campaign contributions from the developer under California Home Development. It also received campaign contributions from Mark Armbruster, the developer's attorney at that time and at subsequent times. It also received campaign contributions from Margot Armbruster. That is why this process has been unfair. I recently sent an email to other council members, and I asked, please disclose any campaign contributions or other financial contributions that you have received from any of the developers and of the parties who have an interest in California Home Development, Patrick Weisman, Isaac Shlomo, Dan LaHav, and any other immediate family members, also from any other entities in which these parties have an interest. For example, Isaac Shlomo has an interest in Spring Towers LLC, and so on. But I did not receive a response from anyone in the council on this issue. This is important because if you have received any financial contributions or have any financial connections to the developers or the parties that I just mentioned, and also their attorney, you should recuse yourself because you are acting in a quasi-judicial capacity and are required to be biased. This is a fundamental constitutional right that we have. Yes, they have a right to make campaign contributions, but they do not have a right to make those contributions around the decision-making time to the decision makers. And again, that violates a fundamental constitutional right under due process. And this is of the utmost importance to us as residents in this democratic country. What I would like to do is urge you that you not approve this development, again, because the procedures have been unfair. And I would wish that you all would respect your oaths and have integrity or restore our faith in the process. Thank you.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Gracias.
That closes the
Eso
public
cierra el
hearing.
comentario
Chair
público.
recognizes Councilmember Reyes.
Concejal Reyes.
Thank you, Council
Gracias,
President.
colegas.
We've had two
Hemos
public
tenido
hearings on this
audiencias
case.
públicas en este caso.
We worked with the city
Nosotros
attorney.
trabajamos con el fiscal de la
We
ciudad,
worked
trabajamos
with
con
planning staff.
client staff.
Every step
Y
of the
todo,
way,
cada
we wanted to
paso,
make sure
queremos
that
estar
procedures were
seguros que los
followed,
procedimientos fueron seguidos, que el
the process was
proceso
adhered to,
estuvo adherido
and we were able to
y
move
pudimos
in a
mover en
direction
la dirección
in which
en
we
la cual
maintain this
mantuvimos
openness
esto
as to the
abierto
issues
para
and
las
impacts of
cuestiones
this
e
area.
impactos de esta área.
My hat goes off to
Mi
Councilman
corazón sale
Gruhl
para la
and her
concejal
staff
Gruhl y su
because they
equipo
have
porque ellos
gone through a
han ido
significant
por
analytical
el
process
proceso
and
analítico
how
en
we
cómo
are
nosotros estamos
making an
haciendo
impact in
un
this area.
impacto en esta área.
Councilman Gruhl has
El señor
traveled
Gruhl ha
over there,
viajado
has
para
seen
allá, ha
the site,
visto el lugar,
has spoken
ha
to the
hablado
neighbors,
con los
and has
vecinos
looked
y
at
ha visto
all the
todas
prevalent
las
issues
cuestiones prevalentes
been
que han
raised.
sido levantadas.
I want to thank the planning
Quiero darle al
department. We have with us
templamiento que tenemos con
José Carlos
nosotros.
Romero, who's been doing a lot of the
Es el señor
casework.
por haciendo mucho del trabajo.
Emily
Emily
Gabrielati, who's been
Gabrielati, que
advising us step by
aconsejándonos
step.
paso por paso.
And we've had the city attorney there with us as well. It's been a long and
Ha sido
arduous
un
process.
proceso
We've
largo y
been
arduo.
very careful
Estamos teniendo mucho
in
cuidado en
respecting the
respetar
rights of
los derechos de
everyone
todos
involved in the decision-making
envueltos en la
process.
decisión del
We've
proceso.
had extensive
Hemos
public
tenido
hearings.
audiencias públicas
I urge you to
extensas. Yo les
support
urjo
the
que soporte el
committee report.
comité del reporte plan.
Again, it reflects
Otra vez que
a lot
refleja
of time, a lot of
mucho
energy,
tiempo, mucha energía.
and we stand
Y
strong
nosotros
in
estamos
making sure
fuertes en
that
estar seguros de que
what has been written
lo que se ha
reflects
hecho
the facts
refleja los
to the
hechos
best of our
y
ability
mejora nuestra habilidad
and looks at the
y
most
ve
positive
lo más
impact
positivo
given
impacto
the property rights
los derechos de
and the
propiedad
community rights of
y
that
los
area.
derechos de la comunidad de esa área.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes.
Gracias,
The
señor
chair
Reyes.
recognizes
Deseo
Councilmember Gruhl.
señor Gruhl.
Thank you, Councilmember
Gracias, señor Makowski.
Mikowski. As all projects
Como todos los
in my
proyectos
Shadow
en
Hills and
mi
Summerton
Shadow
area,
Hills
this
y
has
la
not
Sultana
been an
esto
easy
no ha
one,
sido
and I
muy
want to
fácil. Yo
thank
quiero dar las
my
gracias
speakers and
a mis
constituents who have come
estudiantes que han
several
venido
times to
varias
committee
veces
and
al
have been
comité y
active
han
on this
estado
for 3
activos en
years.
esto por 3 años.
And what we tried to
Y
do
lo
was
que hemos
find some
tratado de
middle ground, and we
encontrar
held,
algo en medio
I think as Mr.
tuvimos
Reyes
como
mentioned, a
ustedes
public
comenzaron la
hearing
audiencia pública
a week ago and
hace
then
una
held
semana
one
y
this
lo
week
tuvimos esta semana.
and made
Hicimos
additional conditions,
condiciones
11
adicionales,
actually
11
additional
sí,
conditions based on what we heard from the constituents and concerns they raised about access, about lot size, about guaranteeing that the track map was accurate, about dust, about traffic, etc. And so this is, again, some days I guess I'm happy I'm on Plum and other days not, because it is a tough committee where you're having to make difficult choices. And this one, again, I think even though it has taken 3 years, the dialogue and discussion has made it a better project, and one in which we had individuals from Shadow Hills that also came in support of it, and some that came in opposition to it. So I would ask that you approve the supplemental conditions in the report that is before you today on this project, and that we will continue to monitor this project. We will have weekly meetings with the neighbors and others to ensure that there is little or less disruption for our constituents in that area. So I would ask for an vote today.
Thank you, Ms. Gruhl. There is no one else wishing to speak, so the matter is recommended by the Plum Committee is before us. Please open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote. 12 ayes. That matter is approved. Thank you.
Gracias.
Next item, Madam President, item number 12, call special by Councilmember Garcetti. Chair recognizes Councilmember Garcetti.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Colleagues, today we have a chance on voting for the expansion of equal benefits ordinance. The City of Los Angeles was the first to provide domestic partner benefits to its employees, and I think there's hardly a council office right now where there's not somebody who has benefited from this. There's hardly a city department where this hasn't made an important impact on the lives of our city employees. We continue the tradition and followed San Francisco's lead in adopting equal benefits ordinance in 1999 in November, requiring city contractors to provide equal benefits to employees, domestic partners that they provide to employees' spouses as well. And currently that ordinance right now in this city is only applied to non-competitively bid contracts. Today we take a big step forward in saying that for all of our competitively bid contracts as well, equal benefits ordinance will apply. And what it says is that we don't think that it's fair that one company should be less competitive simply because they've decided not to extend equal rights and non-discrimination in the way that they treat their own employees. Courts throughout the country have commonly upheld equal benefits ordinances, non-discrimination principles, which are the cornerstone of these, apply equally to all contracts and bidders, do not contradict the principles of competitive bidding. And this is very clearly not a feel-good measure, it's a make-good measure. It doesn't punish the little guy and small business owner. It's the proper application of non-discrimination and a non-discrimination policy. The EPO already applies to small contracts. There's non-competitively bid ones in the city, and this change just imposes those same requirements on the big guys. The costs are usually shown to be about 1 to 2%, and 85% of companies this would fall under say that there would be zero cost right now. I'm very proud of the people who have done a lot of considerable work on the ordinance. We heard this in committee. I have a lot of people, Laurel Leitner. I want to thank you for your work. We also have the CAO's office, June Gibson and Lim Chan, for your work as well, and others who played parts in making sure this went forward. We stand up very clearly for a principle of equality here in the city of Los Angeles. We've embodied that as one of the largest employers in Los Angeles, and we've asked those who have done business with us to do the same thing. Today, we make sure that extends to whoever we do business with. That's going to be non-discriminatory and do something which is very simple for any business to do, but it's a basic issue of human dignity and justice to make sure that all of us right now can have those benefits that we need in order to have the sort of equality in our relationships, as well as in our life in the city. At this time, if you'd like to give us an overview or say anything about it, I know you're here also for questions, but June or Nim, if you'd like to add anything, can hold the balance of my time. Please go ahead.
Unless you have any questions specifically.
Okay.
Entonces,
I would urge my colleagues to support this unanimously today. I think it sends a very important and powerful message, but it's much, much more than a message. It's actually one of those rare chances when we get to do something tangible in here, where we're not pushing papers, but we're changing lives. It's something which we're not just sending a message, but we're actually embodying a principle in all of our actions. And again, putting Los Angeles as a leader in civil rights and human dignity. Thank you.
Mr. Zine?
Señor Zine.
Thank you,
Gracias.
Mr. President,
Señor
colleagues.
presidente, colegas, señor Garcetti, discutimos esto más temprano. Tenemos dos reportes en esto y vamos a aprobar o aprobar el reporte de personal y recibir en archivo. ¿Es correcto, señor Garcetti? Entonces, la moción es que vamos a mover para aprobar el reporte personal y recibir en archivo el segundo reporte de desarrollo económico y el comité del reporte del comité. Señor presidente.
Mr. Garcetti.
Señor Garcetti, además quiero dar las gracias por su trabajo en este comité también y quiero dar las gracias al fiscal Algadillo por hacer esto una prioridad y ver que esto se hizo tan rápido como lo pusimos y vamos a ver una diferencia tan pronto lo aumentamos. Gracias. ¿Otros miembros que deseen ser oídos en este asunto? Dígase ninguno. Tenemos la moción enfrente de nosotros. Ábrese la lista. Cierrese la lista. Ábrese el voto. No sé si. Pero usted puede esperar está adoptado. Próximo asunto, por favor. Señor presidente, asunto número 17, llama expresar por el concejal Han. Señora Han. Buenos días, señor presidente, colegas.
I would like to hear from Mike Carey to discuss the community impact statement as it will appear on our agendas before I make my comments, if that's okay. So if you'd like to hold my time, Mr. President.
Señor presidente.
Mike Carey, the city clerk. Basically, what's before you is an attempt to provide to the neighborhood councils a vehicle to have them comment to boards, commissions, and the council and its committees. And what we've done is through our systems division staff basically designed a software program that each of the neighborhood councils will have that will allow them to fill out a template and email it to our office or boards and commissions prior to actions being taken by the council, its committees, and those commissions. What I want to make sure that we communicate relative to the council's business, obviously we meet 3 times a week, committees meet weekly, and in those instances when a neighborhood council wants to submit a comment, we will use the template basically to lift off a 100-word statement that we will put on your agenda. The neighborhood councils are free to prepare lengthy documents which will be included in the council file. If we do not get it in a timely fashion, we will ensure that the impact statements are announced here in council and distributed to the members. I think probably this is going to take us some time to implement relative to the software program and the computer program, because we're also not only talking about your business, but we're talking about the business of boards and commissions that may need some assistance from ITA to implement this program. We are also, frankly, talking about the neighborhood councils getting some assistance from the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment to ensure that they know how to operate the computer and the computer program to timely get us the material. We have a demonstration. I'd like to show it to you very briefly. This is Greg Allison, the head of the systems division. Greg, go ahead.
Thank you, Mike.
This
is el draft screen that we've created, which would be accessible for many places on the city's website that we provide a link to. User IDs and passwords are required, and those would be administered and coordinated through the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. I've already typed the user ID and the password in with this login. A screen will be presented to the Neighborhood Council. You'll notice here this particular user is from the Greater Griffith Park Neighborhood Council, and those are going to be displayed and not changed. It just shows that this is where that person is coming from. We have the name, phone number, and email, which can be modified on the fly if they need to change the contact information. Today's date is provided. Information regarding whether this is an update to a previous submittal that the Neighborhood Council had submitted can be checked yes or no. We have a list of all the different boards, commissions, and committees that the Neighborhood Councils can ask that this email be directed to. It'll be just a simple click and select. Additional information that can be helpful to the commissions and boards is reference numbers, agenda dates, and item numbers if the Neighborhood Council knows that. Those are purely optional. Mike had mentioned that there will be a 100-word brief summary that will be included on reports. And it's basically just a text field with nothing fancy to it. If the Neighborhood Council would like to add additional information, we do also provide a very unlimited text area where they can go on for, well, basically till their fingers fall off. And if that's not enough, we'll permit them to add attachments, which could be any kind of electronic file. It could be images, it could be additional reports. They just click Add Attachment. They select the file that they want to bring in. They're done. That's attached. We, at this time, are restricted to 2 files and 1 megabit of information. However, that could be changed if desired. Once submitted, they'll get a nice little confirmation that their impact statement has been submitted to the Animal Services Commission. An email with all the attachments and all the information will be emailed to the city clerk's office as well as to the committee, board, or commission, and they can log out of the system. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. One of the issues, again, this is going to take us some time to get departments and boards and commissions up to speed, and it's going to take us even probably longer to get neighborhood councils up to speed. We've suggested in our report that a neighborhood council can comment on anything. They are not restricted to their own neighborhood council. What we want to do is try to be able to track if a neighborhood council starts at a commission and that commission action is ultimately going to come up to be heard by the council, we want to make sure we track those impact statements through the process, because as commissions or committees take action on these items, the impact may change. So we've tried to provide enough flexibility in the system to allow that to happen. But again, I think it's going to take a fair amount of training and work on our part on the neighborhood councils to implement this system. Obviously, not all the neighborhood councils are established yet and have the computers, et cetera, so it'll take us some time to get this up and running. In the interim, people can obviously submit letters, faxes, emails to my office relative to the business of the council and its committees. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, colleagues. I know many of you might have some questions about this. But again, I really want to thank Mike Carey for putting together what I think is a really an innovative way to address what really was in the charter, which was pretty vague. And the city charter said we will establish procedures to allow for the input of neighborhood councils to city council,
al concilio,
committees,
los
commissions,
comités,
and
comisiones
boards
y cámaras
in enough
en
time
suficiente tiempo
prior to
para
the
antes
decision
de la
being
decisión
made.
que se
So,
haga.
I mean, that was
Entonces,
pretty
eso
vague
era muy
language in the
lenguaje
city charter, and
en la
I
carta de la
think
ciudad.
what we've come up
Lo
with
que hemos
here
sacado
today
hoy
is
aquí es
a good,
un buen
solid way to
manera
have that
sólida para
input, to
tener
have those voices be
para tener
heard
esas
from neighborhood
voces que se
councils
oigan del
all over the
Consejo del
city
Vecindario y por toda la ciudad.
on issues that we will be
Cuestiones que nosotros
debating.
vamos a estar
We
debatiendo.
are now up to about
Ahora
63
tenemos
certified neighborhood
63
councils. And again, as we
certificados.
move forward trying to
Vamos
figure
para
out
adelante para
how we
tratar de
make all
figurar
this
cómo
work, I know
hacemos
on one
trabajar esto.
hand
Yo
we're
sé que de una
working
manera
so that
estamos
the early
trabajando para que la
notification
notificación
system is
temprana
improved,
se hace
but that's
mejorada,
just
pero
half
eso
of
no
it.
eso es parte,
Half
la
of it
mitad
is
de eso, la
notifying our
mitad de
neighborhood
notificar a
councils
los
of
concilios del
actions
vecindario
being
de acciones
taken,
que
of
están siendo
agenda
tomadas
items on
a
particular boards or
asuntos de
commissions.
las
The
comisiones
other
y cama,
half,
pero la otra
which is
mitad
really
que de veras es
the real spirit behind
el
neighborhood
espíritu de
councils
veras
is
en el
how do we get
concilio es como
neighborhood
que
councils
hagamos
a real
concilio
voice?
de una
How is their
voz
voice
real,
heard
cómo se oye la voz
for
de
us
ellos
on a
entre
city council
nosotros, el
agenda
concilio
item or
de un
before a
asunto
board or
o entre
commission.
una
And I
cámara
think this
comisión.
is
Yo creo que esto es
looks like a
parece
pretty
como que es un
foolproof way right now to make sure that it's legitimate. The real voice of the particular neighborhood council is heard. And I just think this is putting us a long way ahead of where we used to be in terms of, again, neighborhoods being frustrated that decisions were made before they had an opportunity to really weigh in and have their voice be heard. So I really want to thank Mike for the work. I know it's tough in the city for all of us to make this transition to sort of a new way of doing things around here, but I think this is really an important step that we're taking today, and I really appreciate the hard work that you've done, and I know your goal was to do it right. Let's just do it right. Let's have a process in place that works. And obviously, I'm sure there'll be some kinks, but I think this is certainly, and it will take time. I will agree. I will admit to that. I will try to be patient. But I still think this is a great, solid step that we're taking, and I really think you have done it right, frankly. So I hope I get the support of all my colleagues on this.
Estén de acuerdo mis colegas en esto. Se reconoce, no se hago.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Ms. Hahn, for your leadership on this issue, and Mr. Carey, as well as Mr. Nelson, on trying to move this forward. It is, in some ways, moving a huge ship and trying to turn it in a way in which we are going to have a lot more visitors to our ship than we've had in the past. To talk about how to improve our neighborhoods and impact statement. One question I did have was relative to, and you mentioned this, that we will need to do some training. How do you anticipate or envision that? I don't know if whether it's you or Dunn that's going to do that training and timing, if I hold my time, please.
I would envision that my staff, the systems group, will train Dunn, and when whoever installs the computers, we're going to have to train them how to use this template, how to set up their accounts, and get the process working. The reason we decided that we wanted not necessarily one computer to log in, we wanted to make sure that whatever we were getting from the neighborhood council was in fact the position of the neighborhood council rather than some rogue opinions coming down alleging that they're representing the neighborhood council. I don't anticipate those kinds of problems. If we get into that, then we're going to have to tweak the system. And we may have to tweak it the other way if this turns out to be a little too burdensome. My biggest concern, frankly, as I mentioned, I've mentioned time and time again, this institution right here meets 3 times a week. Your committees meet weekly, every other week. I doubt that the neighborhood councils are going to meet very frequently. I've suggested, and I think this is a very difficult task. The neighborhood councils are probably going to have to come up with some sort of not a legislative policy, but something in the area that the council does. If something comes up at the state or federal level, we're going to oppose it or we're going to support it outright. I think as time goes on, they're going to have to figure out a way so they can get their comments heard. I also don't want anybody under the misimpression that if a neighborhood council fails to comment on something, or if we do not get it timely, that precludes the council or its committees from acting. Obviously, the neighborhood council can request a continuance, but that is entirely within this body's policy decision to continue on.
One other question, and it's relative, I think, to our recent discussion on the alarm issue and our neighbors' council's understanding, in essence, how to read an agenda and how to understand some of the nuances of that agenda so they can get their comments in a timely fashion or understand what the issue is. And so I would hope that as you do the training on how to use the computers that you work with Don, and also utilize that opportunity to educate people about how to have a greater impact by participating in some of those various committees. And our committee, particularly our housing committee, as Janice teases me, we meet 5 times a week, it seems like lately, to make sure that there is a timely dissemination and an understanding by our constituents, because I think that's really critical in those neighborhood councils. Now, will they purchase, our $50,000 that we provide each neighborhood council allows them in the purchase a computer that then's compatible?
The city has provided, I think, has enough inventory to
they don't have to purchase them.
computers donated from my shop as well as Bank of America and some other institutions. So I think the systems will be there. Again, they're just going to have to be trained on how to use that system to comment with us. Relative to agendas, with we've got 53 departments or such number. If you subscribe to every agenda, we will kill you in terms of paper. There will be nothing but blips going off on your computer. You have mail. And that's the other issue. I think neighborhood councils at some point are going to have to decide what really is important to them and who might be doing things that give rise to that issue. As I told the committee the other day, there's just a ton of information that never gets on an agenda that the departments maintain, whether it's street projects, whether it's tree trimming schedules, whether it's sidewalk maintenance projects. Again, I think Don is going to have to start doing some training to ensure that those departments know if they're interested in sidewalk repair and whether it's going to affect their immediate community, who they contact to get that schedule and when it's going to happen. So there's a lot of stuff that's on agendas, but there's a ton of stuff that never gets to see the light of day.
And I think it is incumbent upon the council members and their staff to participate in that process as well. And we talked within my staff about allocating in my offices a space for the neighborhood councils, which would include computer and information. And we'd be able to identify, have all the agendas posted and other information, so it's easily accessible for individuals who may or may not have a computer as well to do that. So I just think this is, again, an exciting opportunity for us to open the process, have a transparent government that allows people to give their input, and we'll make better decisions because of that input. So I would also support Councilwoman Hahn on this item so that we really can have the community impact statements as part of our decision-making process.
Ms. Galanter.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that you don't have to belong to a neighborhood council in order to comment on agenda items or have access to this information.
No.
You said something earlier, and I just want to, I think I
the neighborhood council, the certified ones, what we wanted to do on this has to do with the neighborhood impact statement that's on the agenda. But for instance, if a constituent in your area is not part of the neighborhood council wants to agree or disagree with an item of the council, they can certainly send us a letter to be included in the file, or they send the council member a letter.
Well, okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure, because I talked to lots of people who are excited about neighborhood councils, and lots of people who want nothing to do with them. And they are, it seems to me, equally entitled to my attention and to the attention of the rest of city government.
Again, I don't want anybody misled. This was to focus and add to council, committee agendas, and boards and commissions a neighborhood impact statement coming from a certified neighborhood council.
So the only people who are going to determine what the neighborhood impact is are members of the neighborhood council? What about the rest of us?
They have an opportunity to send in material
separadamente. Y lo que estoy hablando es si ese material se incluye en la agenda como el impacto fiscal.
Okay, so it doesn't unless
no lo hace a menos
it's
que
an official statement from
una declaración oficial
officially certified neighborhood council. More bureaucracy and less
y
participation.
menos participación.
I mean, what's going to happen? It's not your question.
No es una pregunta.
But, you know, really, be serious. What about all the people who, for whatever reasons, have chosen not to participate in neighborhood councils but may know a lot? I mean, I am worried that in our zeal to encourage neighborhood councils, we're going to forget about all those other people out there. And I don't think it is fair for government to say, oh, it's good for you to be in a neighborhood council. That's a decision everybody should make for themselves. And many people will decide it is good, and many people will decide it's not. And they still ought to have the attention of the city council and the mayor.
Ms. Galanter, based on the council's own business, and I'm not necessarily going to tell you how to do your business until you impact me, but again, comments coming from individuals that do not come through the neighborhood council. If we get that, they certainly can be brought into council and distributed.
Well, let me be clear. I'm not suggesting that you need to reproduce all those and distribute them. What I am suggesting is that council members need equal attention to individuals who may have something to say who have not chosen to join the neighborhood council. I personally don't think we should have litmus tests about what you must or may not belong to.
Well, and the other thing I do not know is the issue, can somebody who is not part of a neighborhood council, the recognized board, make a presentation to that neighborhood council on an issue that's before a commission? I would assume they can. If they can't, then maybe we've got to take a look at that.
I'm sorry if it's not clear. I'm not talking about making presentations to the neighborhood council. The neighborhood councils are obligated to hear from anybody in their neighborhood, I believe. I'm talking about the city council. And I want to make sure that the city council doesn't devolve into thinking the only people they need to pay attention to are the ones who are in neighborhood councils. That's my problem. That's not your problem.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Mr. Labange.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Ms. Galanter. I think our role as representatives, and we all is to listen to the one person, listen to the one block club, listen to the one neighborhood association, listen to whatever that group is there. But at the same time, we have said in our charter number form that we're having neighborhood councils, and in order for us to be multi-effective, we integrate that process. And bureaucracy, yes, we want to avoid bureaucracy. But certainly the impact, the proposal that Ms. Hahn has put forward here, that the city clerk and his staff have put together, allows people to become more integrated, more involved. Now, I'm going to listen to one person, and that's what all of us are. Okay. Great. And that's the beauty of democracy.
Esa es la maravilla de la democracia y la posición de electos. Si tenemos micrófonos donde pueden hablar, decir lo que siento y comunicar el mensaje. El mensaje es información, los conocimientos, poder, y eso es lo que estamos tratando de hacer. Lo que vamos a tener una agenda aquí va a decir lo que es la mina de impactos. Y todo esto va a volver en algo mejor y espero que mucha gente más se envuelva en el proceso de consejo vecindario respecto al buen individuo que puede tener un pensamiento o que se dificultó el grupo de Fokker, que la gente más apasionada que son los amigos de la biblioteca que no quieren estar, que no quieren ir a su biblioteca, no quieren todas otras cosas, todas esas otras cuestiones que eventualmente toman lugar, que otra vez se organizan y continúan en mejorar los 73 más concilios de los vecindarios. Yo soporto estos gracias y ya es mediodía. Señor presidente, yo creo que en participación estoy feliz en estar haciendo eso, pero en el espíritu de entender lo que usted está diciendo, debemos de ver cómo es que estamos haciendo comunicación. El lenguaje es muy importante. Y siempre, cuánto va a costar, cuánto tenemos que hacer. Español, tenemos que ver. Yo oigo la burocracia responde de esa manera a veces. En este caso, yo esperaría que cuando pasemos por este proceso, que no podemos olvidar la adversidad que tenemos a punto de acceso. Lenguajes muy importantes cuando pasemos por esto. Vamos a figurar eso por comunicar diferente lenguaje, porque unas partes de nuestra ciudad, tenemos muchas gentes que no hablan inglés, y esa es la manera que en esta son la gente que también son parte de esta gran ciudad. Mi pregunta es, si tengan mi tiempo, ¿qué estamos haciendo? Estamos comunicando con este cuerpo diverso de lenguajes. Ahorita, todas las agendas, todas las noticias de las que yo sé que están legalmente requeridas, están básicamente en inglés. Ahora a mi oficina se le dio equipo. Bueno, comentar en eso. Se le dio un equipo para crear una unidad de traducción que literalmente fue contra autores, esos departamentos, cámaras comerciales pueden utilizar, y poner junto una lista de empleados de la ciudad que tienen bonos en lenguajes escrito y oral para asistir juntas de la noche, para asistir cámaras y comisiones, para asistir departamentos cuando lo necesitan, traductores para comunidades, juntas y eventos. También fue cobrado con el trabajo de empezar a traducir algunos elementos de la ciudad básica que se ponen en diferentes lenguajes. Para hacer la Galanter va a decirle que no puede necesariamente hacer esto en una manera fácil. Ella puso un volante en su comunidad y agarró mucho criticismo a base de la traducción. Entonces otra vez estamos trabajando para mover para adelante en ese esfuerzo, para poner, y es un programa mínimo. El distrito tiene 70 millones de dólares de programa de lenguaje, primeramente porque las funciones que están llevando son disciplina, removiendo niños de las escuelas, etc. Es una cuestión legal. Nosotros estamos en un número de cosas en mesas legales. Entonces las noticias tienen que ser legalmente correctas en el lenguaje que están poniéndolos. Pero estamos probablemente tratando por la cuestión del presupuesto, señor Reyes. Entiendo eso. Yo sabía que hoy, cuando ustedes ven a los productos comerciales, tienen videos donde promueven en sus computadores sobre inglés, español, francés. Necesitamos poder agarrar, llevar en eso. Es como nosotros tomamos ventaja de la tecnología. Nuestro punto de vista tenemos una cosa de visión. Tenemos grandes comunidades y muchas de estas poblaciones que no pueden tener una computadora, que tienen acceso a una computadora. Podría decir que tenemos la biblioteca en Chinatown, en Cypress Park. Decidimos en el parto de bibliotecas ver cómo puede haber puntos de acceso entre nuestras bibliotecas en equipo para trabajar con la gente que no habla inglés. Pueden ser entrenados o expuestos al proceso para poder poner este proceso. Y tenemos juntas de la comunidad, de proyectos grandes que están creándose en nuestras comunidades. Van a encontrar en el cuerpo de... Muy raro que encuentran a la gente que inmediatamente están impactados. Tenemos un grupo de gente que estoy feliz que estén ahí en el proceso, pero intentamos empezar a la gente en sí, es que sientan el impacto de sea positivo o negativo en nuestras decisiones. Yo creo que esta barrera de lenguaje simplemente no debemos tomar ligera. Yo sugería a mis colegas que vale la pena la inversión si queremos la clase de participación democrática de la que estamos hablando. Gracias. Señora Makowska. Gracias, presidente. Yo creo que es un buen debate. Muchas buenas se han salido. Y es interesante en mi sitio, eso que muchos otros hemos tenido concilios del vecindario en vez de tenerlos a ellos al lado. Están totalmente integrados con cualquier otra integración. Yo fui la noche, fui a la asociación de viviendas y que vamos a trabajar juntos, no nada más es ICO y no más es para andar integrando. También, de acuerdo con el que como había el conseguimos como 40 asuntos. Yo creo que hubiera 3 que las comunidades y vecindarios hubieran querido darnos un impacto o comentario. Obviamente, autoplaneamiento. Vimos el planeamiento del comité, que es el comité que muchas veces seguido tiene un gran nivel de participación de comunidades y vecindarios. Pero creo que la real cosa es la que vamos a meternos en lo que había hablado, donde realmente aparecen en la gente, vamos a integrar por el comité, por la cooperación en los eventos generales de nuestros departamentos para que todos los años en las construcciones del concilio que vemos las cámaras en los servicios, vemos que cada vez van a resanar, trabajamos con ellos en llevar, deben hacer esta área de este año en vez de cuál es la calidad de esta calle, cómo deciden esas cuestiones, que van a ser los impactos de la comunidad que de veras van a más críticos, más importantes y más preocupados para los concilios del vecindario y de participar en todos ellos van a ser los más significantes nivel participación. Yo estoy de acuerdo que de veras que no hicieron nada, pero leer todas las agendas que son sometidas todos los días en la ciudad y en comisiones, comités y concilios, literalmente de veras tiene que aprender a esparcerlas donde está la carne. Son usuarios de la vecindad no van a poder hacer, deberemos hacer primero, pero como un impacto lo que me para llegar su participación en esas cosas para cuando veamos el instante el presupuesto no vengan a que nuestro presupuesto tenemos en la comunidad y si mismo esto lo entendemos y estamos de acuerdo. Esto ha sido bien distribuido, justamente dispersado y está empezando, tomamos los pasos de bebé en este nuevo mundo. Yo creo que es un nuevo nuevo mundo, pero no vamos a volvernos el sufrimiento y sistemas que nosotros usamos aquí, porque lo que hacemos con las agendas son las menos de las veras que está pasando alrededor del conciliación de impactos de la solidaridad y el impacto en la ciudad. Señor Garcetti. Más que recibir algunos de los reyes habló y ahorita creo que en desarrollo económico del plan. Pero algunos estamos trabajando con la oficina del alcalde que coordinaría y construir algunas oficinas del secretario del NAUA. Se nos instaló mucho Padilla. Entonces mucho equipo para interpretación, cosas. Muchos tenemos que comprarlos en oficinas del concilio. El SUSD. Estos equipos entonces son los propuestos. Entonces vamos a ver que para antes, pero migrantes de servicios inmigrantes generalmente creo que estar seguros que llegue a todos. Partes de la esquina y todos los de West, como lo que hacemos con el Chinatown este año. Tenemos 8 servicios que están enfocados en Chinatown. Este último año parece que vamos a fundarlos porque deben ser dentro de la ciudad. En tercer lugar, todavía están intimidan. Monolingües que hablan solamente si está público, que es muy coraje hoy, que como consejo debemos necesitamos llevar a otras ciudades de Chicago una evidente en el servicio del lenguaje que salga para adelante y que hagamos eso y por esa información. Además de saber todos los colegas que eso está pasando y deben doblarse en lo que está el esfuerzo para lo que está haciendo el Consejo de la Ciudad también. Déjame reconocer con el señor Groom.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to say actually ditto to what Tom Labange said, reacting to the fact that we go, I know many of my colleagues go to a lot of different meetings every night, just not neighborhood council meetings, and that we really do work with a variety of groups, whether they be Neighbor Watch, whether it be Residents Association, whether it be Kiwanis, or Rotary, etc., or individuals. What we're trying to do is for anyone who's out there who doesn't have a place to go, who doesn't feel they belong but want to have a voice, neighbor councils give them that opportunity. And I think it is a way in which we can bring people together to ensure that we have that voice in our decision making and that we are asking everyone to participate in city government, whether you belong to a neighbor council or not. Because that is our job, to be out there and to be talking to people, whether it's one person or 20 or 100 or 200. So I just want to echo Mr. Labange's comment earlier.
Thank you. I see no one
Yo no
else
veo
wishing
nadie
to
más que
speak,
desea
so this
hablar,
matter is
entonces esta
before
cosa está
us.
enfrente de nosotros.
Open the roll,
Ábrase la lista,
close the roll,
ábrase la lista,
tabulate the
tabúlese el
vote.
voto. 12 sí.
That matter is approved.
Ese asunto está aprobado. Próximo asunto es el asunto número 19, llama especial, pero la cuestión ya se resolvió y se está listo para ser adoptado. Ahora tenemos el comité de reportes frente a nosotros. Ábrase la lista. Ciérrese la lista. Establece el voto 12 sí. Está aprobado. Próximo, señor presidente, asunto nuevo con la agenda del Consejo. Hay una especial, una posición presentada por el concejal Navancho y segunda por el fiscal de los jóvenes. Explicar la necesidad de las investigaciones. Gracias, presidente. Voy a leer en el récord las investigaciones para el Consejo para considerar por las lluvias tan fuertes de estructura y marqueta de Sycamore que está en la entrada está inminente en peligro de caerse. Presidente del Código de Ambiente del Consejo debe determinar si hay necesidad de tomar acción inmediata o que la necesidad para acción vino a la atención del Consejo después de que se puso la agenda de hoy. Entonces el Consejo puede ser siempre fondos para demolición emergencia. Entonces el juez ayudar la razón para actuar en hacer las misiones para tomar esta causa. Ábrase la lista. Cierrese la lista. Damos el voto. 12 sí. La cual está enfrente a nosotros, el señor Lamancha. Sí, gracias. Muchas gracias. Miembros, esta es una situación sobre las montañas de Hollywood que necesita atención inmediata. Y se aprecia esto tenemos los fiscales que ha sido una serie de juntas y discusiones que trazan lo mejor que para todos nosotros, de los residentes que estuvo en esta situación, en este parcel. ¿Tiene algún comentario que quiere hacer? Nada más es que junto a mis servicios técnicos salieron para hacer la propiedad e indicaron que el garaje y la entrada de coches están en peligro posiblemente de caerse en algún mucho tiempo y nosotros creemos que está en el interés de seguridad del público que soporte nuestras calles y actuar urgentemente en urgencia. Muchas gracias, miembros. Pido su soporte en esto. Está bien, el asunto como está recomendado está enfrente de nosotros. Ábrase la lista. Ábrase la lista. Ábrase el voto. 12 sí. Está aprobado y vamos a mandarlo para adelante. Próximo asunto. Presidente, es el asunto para comentarles al público de asuntos que no es en la agenda del Consejo. Ahora tenemos una tarjeta para comentar al público, señor Leonard W. Rose Jr.
Leonard Ramos Jr.,
yo oigo que hablar de mucha violencia, sexo en la televisión y en teatros. Debe de saberse. Escribe una carta para todos los líderes y se por todo lugar, en todo el concilio de la ciudad, supervisor y todos los distritos, escuelas y toda la policía. Y de peligro en Los Ángeles. Los gangsters están levantándose en Los Ángeles como están levantando ese viernes pasado. Antes que vine aquí, vi a mi perro como diferentes gentes. Diferentes se juntaron como equipo y mi papá agarró una unidad de comercial en crimen después de 3 de la tarde y lo vine aquí el viernes pasado con mi mamá y hice un horario de cómo soporta la dedicación. Es muy importante de poner Disney otra vez en la área. La agencia se llama McGraw-Dog. Regresa continúa haciendo eso. La comunidad gay y lesbiana soporta McGraw-Dog. El comercial de equipo comparte la violencia. El Canal 4. No se puede entender eso. Y queremos ser por el departamento de policía, soportar y poner el dinero en soportar el comercial. Queremos educación como lo hicieron el año pasado. El distrito de escuela, el departamento de policía y todos los líderes de autoridades. Yo hice una copia aquí muy importante, papel, y a menos que hace una copia para ustedes. Es uno de los mejores carteles que he escrito, todo en detalle para el detalle. Muchas gracias. En lugar de eso, muchas gracias por ayudarme. Bueno, se pueden quedar con ella. Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias, señor Rose. Eso cierra el comentario público.
Council has motions for posting and referral. They are posted and referred. There is an excuse on this. Councilmember Garcetti requests to be excused on February 21st to leave at noon to speed business. A motion is required. Mr. Weiss moves. Mr. Weiss seconds. Mr. Garcetti is excused to leave early on Friday. And that clears the desk, Madam President. All right, the desk is now clear. Are there any announcements? Any adjourning motions? Members of the council, any adjourning motions? Mr. Garcetti? Did you have, no, okay. If there are no adjourning motions, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Vamos a llevarse listo.
Thank you. We are adjourned.